Here with reaction, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, along with, well, relatable podcast host Allie Beth Stuckey and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Let me go over these words with our top story time.
Yeah.
This is the governor on the radio. Well, he says, if a mother's in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered, okay? The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if, now this is outside the womb, if that's what the mother and family desired. Then a discussion would ensue between the physician and the mother.
Sean, you know my background. I was the president of the National Organization for Women. My activism began on abortion rights in the 1980s. It is something that, and I think this issue, as you said in your opening monologue, is not about even being pro-choice, and it's not even about abortion, is it? As a matter of fact...
Are you still pro-choice, by the way?
Well, you know, I identify as that, indeed, and I can tell you that the...
First 3 months.
Exactly. 61% of Americans who identify as pro-choice agree that it should be restricted to the first 3 months. 92% of GOPers agree with that. 60% of Democrats agree. 6 out of 10 Democrats agree with just the first 3 months, and 78% of independents. We are not a polarized electorate. We are not a polarized nation in this regard. But for me, what is horrific, it is certainly brutal and ghoulish, is that these kinds of laws posit this notion that women who are about to give birth are willing to kill their children. And this is what we've got to stand up against. Only 13% of Americans want third trimester abortions. 18% of Democrats are for it. No one wants this. It is not what Americans who want freedom want.
I disagree. No, this is being fought for hard and being passed as law in some by people that claim the monopoly on compassion.
Right. This is
your former friends.
Certain Democrat leadership. But what we know now is they are not just out of touch with the American people. They are the antithesis. They are fighting for the antithesis of what we represent as individuals, whether you be pro-choice or pro-life. And you know what? This is a good opportunity for people to begin to have this conversation. It's a good opportunity for Republicans and other pro-choicers and pro-lifers who want to come together and recognize that, wait a minute, we have common ground on most of this. We can talk and have conversations about when life begins. But if you are as appalled at this as I am, maybe that conversation in the 21st century now that we know what the dynamic is, perhaps we can begin to have that conversation. I'm willing to have it because this has been a horrific realization of where the Democratic Party has gone and where people who would claim to be the recipients of the work that someone like I've done for 20 to 30 years.
For this cause to a point.
Well, this is not my cause.
Agreed.
And it has not been the cause of people from in the 80s and 90s who are fighting for the opportunity for women to control that framework. When you find out you're pregnant, and I want women to have the option to say yes when they're pregnant, to have a good job, to have enough money, whether they're married or not. This is what we've been fighting for.
Let me get, you went out on the streets of Alexandria, Sarah. What was the reaction of most people?
Well, I think what happened was the fact that this video actually went public. It really shocked the conscience of a lot of people that I spoke to. They were willing to talk about it. I thought it was going to be difficult, but people wanted their voices to be heard. They were disgusted by it. They were shocked by it. Even those that were pro-choice, just like, you know, Tammy explained. I think that having the video out there was a real game changer. A lot of these policies and legislation, it gets talked about, but it doesn't make the public media. It's not out there. So people really don't have any idea of what's actually going on inside the law, Sean. And what I heard was people that were shocked, people that were concerned, people that wanted more information. And thankfully, the law did not pass. But what we see with Governor Cuomo and his statements, you know, this is not about religion. This is about the sanctity of life, about human life, about a child sitting there after after it's been born, and you can't debate that life once it's there. I mean, this is a person, a full person. I don't know how we got to a point where we no longer value the sanctity of life, and we no longer support or protect those that can't protect themselves. It's just very shocking. It was very upsetting. A lot of people were really, some people were just so upset about it. They didn't even know how to talk about it.
Can I just add one tiny thing, Sarah? I don't think we are at that point. We cannot, at this point at all, agree and allow these individuals who are completely out of touch to define what it is where we're at and what we're settling in.
Let me get Allie Beth. Allie Beth.
Right. Well, there is no coincidence that the expansion of government and the popularization of socialism is happening at the same time that we're denigrating life inside the womb. The sanctity of life is central to a free republic, because without life, liberty nor the pursuit of happiness can exist. And so this world that we're living in, where we are denigrating the most vulnerable, the most marginalized, the most helpless among us, it is no coincidence whatsoever that socialism is becoming more popular, becoming more mainstream. That's what happens when you grow the power of the government unfettered. Human life, unfortunately, is the cost that we often pay.
You three, this is not about abortion. This is that the baby will be born comfortable and we'll have a discussion. This is the United States of America. We're better than that. Thank you so much for being